The wind screamed across the empty desert. Sand rose like waves under a red sun that never seemed to rest. On that endless wasteland, a young woman lay half-buried, her clothes torn, her lips dry, her heartbeat weak. Her name was Arya. She had been left for dead by her own people, punished for refusing to marry the leader's cruel son. In her village, no one said no to the commander, but Arya did, and for that, she was thrown into the desert, a place they called the Silent Zone, where no one ever returned alive. Hours passed. The heat burned her skin. Her eyes closed. She whispered to herself, if this is my end, let it come. But fate had other plans. Far away, a human military patrol ship was flying low over the desert. The soldiers were part of the Earth Alliance, a force that protected the outer colonies after the Great War. Their mission was to search for survivors and lost tech in the abandoned zones. Inside the ship, Lieutenant Ryan Hale watched the radar. A faint signal flashed. Life form detected. Wait, he said, frowning. I'm getting a pulse. Out there in the Silent Zone? The pilot laughed. No one lives there, sir. Must be a glitch. Ryan narrowed his eyes. Then let's go find out. Moments later, their craft landed. The soldiers stepped out, boots sinking in hot dust. Everything was silent except the wind. Then Ryan saw her, a motionless figure half covered by sand. Someone's here, he shouted. He ran, knelt beside her, brushed the sand away. Her pulse was faint but still there. She's alive, he said softly. Get the med kit! The team worked fast, pouring water on her lips, giving oxygen, wrapping her in a blanket. When her eyes opened, she saw a stranger in a gray uniform, his face tired but kind. Who are you? She whispered. Lieutenant Ryan Hale, he said. You're safe now. She shook her head weakly. No one is safe here. Before Ryan could ask, a loud roar echoed through the desert. The ground trembled. Movement detected, shouted one of the soldiers. Multiple targets incoming. Ryan looked around, dark shapes rising in the distance. Metallic beasts, half machine, half creature, the scavengers, desert hunters that fed on the remains of the dead. They weren't supposed to be this close. The pilot yelled, Get her on the ship now, Ryan ordered. As they lifted Arya, the creatures charged, their claws digging into the sand, eyes glowing red. Bullets filled the air. Explosions flashed against the red sky. Ryan fired his rifle, covering the retreat, shouting to his men. One by one, the soldiers climbed aboard, dragging Arya to safety. But one scavenger leaped, landing on the wing. Its claws tore through the metal. Sparks flew. Ryan grabbed a grenade, pulled the pin, and threw it straight into the beast's mouth. The explosion sent the creature flying into the sand, broken, burning. The ship took off just in time. Ryan fell back in his seat, breathing hard. Arya, lying on the floor beside him, opened her eyes again. You shouldn't have saved me, she said weakly. They will come for you now. Ryan stared at her. Who will? Arya turned her head slowly, fear in her eyes. The ones who left me to die. The ship flew higher, disappearing into the red sky. As the desert below came alive, dozens of scavengers crawling out from beneath the dunes. Watching, waiting, to be continued. In the next part, Arya's secret will begin to unfold, and Ryan will realize that saving her might start a war he can't escape. The engines of the patrol ship roared through the clouds, cutting across the burning sky. Inside, the soldiers sat in silence, tired, dusty, and shaken. Lieutenant Ryan Hale looked at the unconscious girl lying on the floor. Her face was pale, her breathing slow but steady. He had seen many strange things during the war, but nothing like this. Why would anyone leave a girl to die in a forbidden desert? And what did she mean by they will come for you now? He couldn't stop thinking about it. Hours later, the ship reached Base Echo 9, a small human outpost built among the old ruins of the planet Arendor. The med team took Arya to the infirmary. When Ryan visited her later, she was awake, staring out of the window at the endless sand. You saved me again, she said quietly. Ryan smiled faintly. That's kind of my job. Her eyes were calm but deep, hiding something. Then you don't know what you've done, she whispered. Ryan frowned. What do you mean? Arya didn't answer. Instead, she slowly lifted her sleeve. On her wrist was a glowing symbol, like fire trapped under her skin. Ryan stepped closer, eyes wide. What is that? The mark of the chosen bloodline, she said. It means death to anyone who touches me. Before Ryan could speak, the door opened. Captain Lena Cross, his commanding officer, entered. "Hail outside now!" Ryan followed her into the hallway. "What the hell were you thinking?" Lena said sharply. "You brought a native woman from the silent zone into our base." "She was dying," Ryan said. "I couldn't leave her there." "This isn't about kindness," Lena snapped. "You don't understand the politics here. The tribes of Arendor hate us. They see us as invaders." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Then why are we protecting them?" "Because peace is fragile," Lena replied coldly. "And you may have just broken it." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He walked back to the medbay quietly. Arya was awake, sitting on the bed, the light from her mark glowing softly. "Why does your mark make people afraid?" he asked. She looked at him, her voice low. "Because it belongs to the royal family of Arendor. The leader's son, the one I was forced to marry, carries the same mark. When I refused him, they called me a traitor. I was supposed to die so no one would question his power." Ryan sat down beside her. "So you're the princess?" Arya shook her head. "Not anymore. Just a ghost they want erased." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then alarms blared. Wee. Ryan jumped to his feet. "What's happening?" A soldier ran past the hallway shouting at incoming ships. "Unknown signal. They're not human." Ryan turned to Arya. Her face had gone pale. "They found me," she whispered. Outside, the night sky exploded with light. Bright trails of fire streaked across the horizon as Arendor war drones descended toward the base. "Everyone to battle stations!" Captain Lena's voice echoed through the speakers. "Protect the base at all costs." Ryan grabbed his rifle and helmet, then looked at Arya. "You stay here. Lock the door." But she shook her head. "No, they're not here for you. They're here for me. If you fight, they'll kill everyone." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Then what do you want me to do?" "Hand you over?" Her lips trembled, but she nodded. "It's the only way to stop them." He stared at her for a long moment. "No," he said finally. "I don't abandon people." Arya looked stunned. "Why, you don't even know me." Ryan smirked. "I don't need to. You were left to die once. It won't happen again." Outside, the ground shook as explosions tore through the walls. Soldiers fired from the towers, but the enemy drones were fast. Dark silver machines with wings like blades. Ryan ran out, blasting at the drones, covering the troops. The sky burned red again, just like the desert. Then suddenly, everything went quiet. From the smoke, a large ship appeared. Black, silent, deadly. It hovered above the base, casting a shadow over everything. A voice echoed from the speakers in an alien tongue, then translated into human language. "Return the girl with the royal mark, or your base will fall." Everyone turned to Ryan and to Arya, who had stepped out of the medbay, the mark on her wrist shining like a star. Ryan whispered, "They really did come for you." Arya's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, and now because of me, you're all in danger." The sky burned red. Fire and smoke covered the desert horizon. Base Echo 9 was under attack. Sirens screamed. Soldiers ran through narrow metal halls, shouting orders, grabbing weapons. Ryan Hale rushed to the command center. The holographic map showed hundreds of red dots moving fast toward the base. Multiple enemy drones approaching, the tech officer reported. "Shields at 60%. Captain Lena Cross turned to Ryan. "This is your doing, Hale. You brought her here." Ryan clenched his jaw. "I'll fix it." Before Lena could stop him, he ran out. Outside, the wind howled like a monster. Explosions shook the ground. The enemy's war drones, dark machines shaped like winged serpents, swept over the base, firing plasma shots. Ryan ducked behind a wall, shouting into his comms. "Alpha team, cover the west gate. Bravo, protect the reactor." Bullets and energy beams cut the air. The base trembled under the storm. But Ryan wasn't fighting for victory anymore. He was fighting to keep Arya alive. He reached the medbay only to find it empty. His heart sank. "Arya?" No answer. Just silence and the faint hum of destroyed lights. Then he saw it. The window broken, footprints in the dust leading outside. Arya stood on the edge of the landing pad, looking at the giant enemy ship above. Its dark shadow swallowed the stars. She could feel the pulse in her mark glowing faster. It was calling her. Tears filled her eyes. "So this is how it ends," she whispered. "Peace in exchange for my life." She stepped forward, ready to surrender, but a voice shouted behind her. "Stop!" Ryan ran to her, his armor covered in dust and blood. "You think I'm going to let you walk into their arms?" Arya turned, trembling. You don't understand, Ryan. They won't stop until they have me. If I go, they'll leave your people alone. Ryan shook his head. No one gets left behind. Not again. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the enemy ship and hit the ground near them. A huge figure emerged. A tall soldier in silver armor, his face hidden under a dark helmet. He spoke with a cold voice, mechanical and deep. Return the marked one, human. She belongs to us. Ryan raised his rifle. You'll have to go through me. The armored figure tilted his head slightly. Foolish human. Do you even know who she is? Arya stepped forward slowly. He's right. Tell him, General Varric. Tell him who I really am. The figure removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face with glowing blue eyes. I am General Varric of Arendor, and she, he pointed at Arya, is Princess Arya Lorne, heir to the Crimson Throne, the one who betrayed her bloodline. Ryan froze. Princess? Arya looked down. I told you I was nobody, but I lied. I was born to rule, but I refused a cruel marriage that would start another war. Varric's voice thundered. You refused unity. You doomed our world. Now you will face justice. He raised his hand, charging an energy blast. Ryan pushed Arya aside just as the beam fired. The blast hit the floor, sending both flying backward. Ryan's armor cracked, smoke rising from his chest plate. He coughed, trying to stand. Justice. You call leaving her to die justice? Varric aimed again. You humans always interfere. You never learn. Before he could fire, Arya raised her hand, the mark on her wrist glowing brighter than ever. A wave of golden light burst from her palm, hitting Varric and throwing him several meters away. Her eyes glowed too, fierce and full of power. Everyone froze. Even Ryan stared in shock. What was that? Arya looked terrified. The royal bloodline isn't just a title. It's a curse. The mark gives me control over ancient energy, the kind that can destroy cities. Ryan whispered. Then we use it. She shook her head. No, every time I use it, it takes my life away. Outside, more drones closed in. The base was seconds from falling. Ryan looked at her. Then we find another way together. Arya smiled faintly. You're stubborn, soldier. Ryan smirked. You noticed. They stood side by side as the next wave of drones approached. Ryan loaded his rifle. Arya raised her glowing hand. For a moment, the human and the princess stood united. Two lost souls ready to fight the darkness. The night exploded in fire and light. The night sky burned like a dying star. Echo 9 base was collapsing. Explosions, alarms, and screams echoing through the corridors. Smoke filled the air. Metal walls shook. The ground trembled under each impact. Ryan Hale grabbed Arya's arm and pulled her through the chaos. We need to reach the hangar, he shouted over the noise. Arya's mark glowed dimly under her sleeve, flickering like fire. They won't stop, she said breathlessly. Varric won't stop until he takes me. Ryan glanced back. The drones were cutting through the walls like knives. Then we keep moving. They ran through the burning halls. The once bright base was now a maze of flames and broken steel. Soldiers fought hard but were outnumbered. The enemy drones glided through the smoke, silent and deadly. Captain Lena's voice came through the comms, static crackling. All units, fall back to evacuation zone. Repeat, fall back. Ryan pressed his earpiece. Captain, we have the girl. We're heading to the hangar. Hale, don't bring her here. The enemy wants her. You'll lead them straight to us. Ryan ignored the order. He wasn't leaving anyone behind, not her. Not again. They turned a corner and stopped. The path ahead was blocked by fire and falling debris. Arya coughed, covering her face. We can't go that way. Ryan looked around, then saw a maintenance shaft. This way. He kicked open the vent and crawled in first. The tunnel was dark, narrow, and full of dust. Arya followed, her heartbeat loud in her ears. Behind them, the sounds of battle faded, replaced by eerie silence. After a few minutes, they reached an opening and dropped into a dimly lit chamber. An old control room, half buried under the base. Broken screens flickered weakly. On one of them, strange symbols glowed. Not human language, but ancient Arendorian script. Arya stepped closer. This is impossible. Ryan frowned. You can read that? Yes, she whispered. These symbols. They talk about something called the core of Arendor. Ryan raised an eyebrow. What's that? She hesitated. A power source. Older than the royal bloodline. Older than the war. It's said to sleep beneath the planet, waiting for the rightful heir to awaken it. Ryan crossed his arms. And let me guess, and that's you. Arya nodded slowly. If I reach it, maybe I can stop Varric. Suddenly, a metallic crash came from above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ryan grabbed his rifle. They found us. A drone burst through the vent, its red eyes glowing. Ryan fired. Sparks flew as the drone exploded, but more came after it. Move, Ryan shouted. They sprinted down the tunnel as more drones poured in, firing energy blasts. The air turned white hot. They reached a lower level of an underground loading bay. Rusted transport ships sat in the dark, covered in sand and time. Ryan pointed to one. That one still has power. They climbed aboard as more explosions shook the structure. Ryan jumped into the pilot seat. Hold on! The engine screamed to life. The old ship lifted off just as the ceiling collapsed behind them. Arya clutched the seat, watching the flames below. Echo 9 was gone, consumed by fire. As they broke through the smoke, a massive shadow appeared. Varric's flagship, hovering like a predator. Of course, Ryan muttered. He's not done yet. The flagship opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked past, shaking their small craft. Ryan dodged hard, pushing the controls to their limits. Arya's mark started glowing again, brighter and brighter. Ryan, she said urgently, I can feel it. Something calling me beneath the surface. That's where the core is. Ryan glanced at her. You mean underground? Yes, deep under the desert. Ryan cursed under his breath. Then hold tight. He tilted the ship downward, heading straight toward the planet's surface. The flagship followed, firing relentlessly. The heat and pressure built up. The ship rattled, alarms blaring. Are you insane? Arya shouted. Ryan grinned through the chaos. You said it's down there, so that's where we're going. The ship plunged into a canyon, flames chasing behind. For a moment it seemed they would crash, but at the last second the ground below opened up. A massive crater revealed a glowing cave. Golden light pouring from its depths. Arya gasped. It's real. The core of Arendor. Ryan pulled up just in time, guiding the ship inside the glowing tunnel. Behind them, Varric's flagship tried to follow, but the entrance collapsed, sealing them in darkness. For a few seconds, everything was silent except their breathing. Ryan turned to Arya. So, what now? She looked at the glowing light ahead, her mark shining brighter than ever. Now, she said softly, we find out why fate brought us together. The ship drifted slowly through the glowing tunnel. Outside the window, the walls shimmered like gold and crystal, alive with strange energy. Ryan Hale kept his hands tight on the controls, guiding the small craft deeper underground. Arya sat beside him, her mark burning softly on her wrist. She could feel a pulse, not just through her veins, but through the air itself. The core was calling. Where exactly are we going? Ryan asked, eyes scanning the radar. Arya whispered, to the heart of the planet. That's where the core sleeps. Ryan gave a half smile. And what happens when it wakes up? She looked at him, serious. No one knows. It hasn't been awakened in thousands of years. Minutes later, they reached a vast underground cavern. It was enormous, and a world beneath a world. Massive structures floated in the air like broken temples. Rivers of light flowed between them, humming with ancient power. Ryan stared in awe. This doesn't look like anything humans built. Arya nodded. Because it isn't. The core was created by the first beings of Arendor, way before humans ever came. They landed the ship near a wide platform. The air was warm, heavy with static. As they stepped out, the ground lit up under their feet, responding to Arya's presence. The mark recognizes this place, she said softly. It means I'm the rightful heir. Ryan crossed his arms. Or it means this place thinks you're a key. And it's about to open something we can't close. Arya smiled faintly. You don't believe in destiny, do you? Ryan looked away. I believe in survival. They walked toward the center of the chamber. In front of them stood a giant structure, a pillar of crystal surrounded by floating rings of energy. Inside the pillar burned a heart-shaped light, pulsing like it was alive. The core, Arya whispered. As she approached, the mark on her wrist flared brighter. The entire room began to hum. The floating rings spun faster, filling the air with golden sparks. Ryan stepped forward nervously. Arya? Maybe don't touch it too late. Her hand reached out. The moment her fingers brushed the crystal, light exploded everywhere. Ryan was thrown back by the shockwave. The ground trembled. Energy surged through the cavern, lighting every symbol and wall. Arya screamed, not in pain but in connection. Her body lifted off the ground, surrounded by light. In her mind, she saw visions, cities of glass, skies filled with machines, and 1,000 voices whispering her name. Then she fell to the floor, gasping. Ryan ran to her, holding her shoulders. "Arya, hey, talk to me." Her eyes opened, glowing faintly gold. "It spoke to me," she whispered. Ryan frowned. "What do you mean it spoke?" She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "The core isn't just power. It's alive. And it remembers everything." Before Ryan could respond, the ground shook again, this time not from energy but from impact. Explosions echoed above them. Ryan's eyes widened. "Varric, he found us." A massive hole tore open in the ceiling. Flames and dust poured in as Varric's assault drones descended. The general's voice echoed through the cavern. "You can't run from destiny, princess. The core belongs to Arendor." Ryan pulled Arya to her feet. "We need cover." They ran behind the ruins as energy blasts rained down. "Ryan," Arya shouted over the noise. "The core, it said it can protect itself, but I need to connect fully." Ryan fired at the drones. "You mean do that floating light trick again?" She nodded. "Yes, but this time, it might kill me." Ryan turned to her, eyes fierce. "No, not an option." Arya smiled sadly. "Sometimes destiny doesn't ask permission." She stepped into the open, facing the core again. Varric's drones aimed their weapons. "Arya," Ryan shouted. "Don't—" But the core's light enveloped her once more. A shockwave burst outward, throwing the drones away like leaves in a storm. Varric's ship, still hovering above, shook violently as golden light pierced through its hull. Ryan shielded his eyes. "Arya!" The light faded. The core's hum quieted. Arya stood still, glowing faintly, her mark now burned into a perfect circle. She turned to Ryan, her voice soft and strange, as if she was hearing another voice inside her head. "It's awake now. The core knows you, Ryan Hale. It trusts you." Ryan stared at her. "Me? Why?" "Because," she said, "you don't fight for power. You fight for people." Before he could speak, another explosion echoed above, a final warning that Varric was still coming. Ryan looked up, gripping his weapon. "Then we'd better prove it." To be continued. In Part 6, Varric descends into the heart of the core, determined to take its power. But Arya's connection to the ancient energy will reveal a shocking truth, one that could turn friend against friend and decide the fate of both worlds. The core's chamber still shimmered with fading golden light. Arya stood at its center, glowing faintly, her mark now forming a perfect circle across her wrist. Ryan Hale watched her quietly, heart pounding. She didn't look human anymore. She looked like something greater. "Arya," he said softly, stepping closer. "You still with me?" She blinked, her golden eyes fading back to normal. "I'm fine." "But the core—" "It's alive, Ryan. It knows everything. It showed me things I can't explain." Ryan frowned. "Like what?" Arya hesitated. "It said that I wasn't the only one born with the mark. There was another." Before Ryan could ask more, the ground shook. A low rumble echoed through the cavern, followed by a deep mechanical roar. Ryan turned toward the broken ceiling, a massive hole where light poured in. From the dust and smoke, General Varric descended, wearing his full exo-armor. The metallic suit glowed blue, powered by dark energy. His eyes blazed with rage. "You think you can claim what belongs to Arendor?" he shouted. His voice thundered across the cavern. "The core belongs to no one," Arya yelled back. "It was never meant to be used as a weapon." Varric laughed. "Then you don't understand power, princess. Only the strong deserve to rule." Ryan stepped forward, rifle aimed. "You call killing your own people strength?" Varric sneered. "I call it order." Without warning, Varric raised his hand, a blast of dark energy shot toward them. Ryan pushed Arya aside just in time. The beam hit a stone pillar, turning it to dust. Ryan rolled behind cover, breathing hard. "Okay," he muttered. "That's new." Varric's voice echoed again. "You should have stayed out of this, human." Ryan smirked from behind the rock. "Yeah, people keep telling me that." He jumped out and fired several plasma rounds. The shots hit Varric's armor, but the general barely flinched. His energy shield absorbed every hit. Then Varric raised his arm again. This time the blast struck Ryan directly. Ryan's body hit the ground, smoke rising from his armor. Ryan! Arya screamed, running toward him. Varric moved to strike again, but the core reacted. The chamber glowed with golden energy, forming a barrier between them. Varric glared at it. The core protects you now, then I will rip it apart. He lifted his arms, channeling more dark power. The ground cracked beneath him. Energy clashed, gold and blue, light and shadow. The entire cavern trembled. Arya looked at Ryan, his armor sparking, his face pale. "Stay down," she said. Ryan coughed. Not a chance. He pushed himself up, limping toward her. "If we're going to stop him, we do it together." She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. "Then hold on." Her mark glowed brighter. The core's light responded, spinning faster, humming louder. Arya lifted her hands toward the core, and golden energy surrounded both her and Ryan. He felt it too, warmth, power, life itself flowing through his veins. The core's voice echoed in Arya's mind. The bond between heart and courage is the true key. Varric roared and charged. The collision of energy lit up the cavern like a sun. Ryan fired again, this time his bullets glowing with golden light. They pierced Varric's shield, cracking it. Varric staggered back, growling. "Impossible!" Arya raised her hands. A beam of pure light burst forward, striking his armor. The impact shook the ground. Varric screamed as his armor began to melt. "You cannot kill me," he shouted. "I am Arendor." Arya stepped closer, her eyes glowing again. "No, you are its curse." With one final surge, she unleashed the core's energy. The beam engulfed Varric completely. His scream echoed, then faded into silence. When the light dimmed, nothing remained but ashes and broken metal. Ryan fell to one knee, exhausted. "Is it over?" Arya nodded weakly. "Yes, but the core is changing. It's unstable now." She looked around. The golden lights were flickering, the walls cracking. "The core is trying to protect itself, but it's collapsing." Ryan grabbed her hand. "Then we get out now." They ran back to the ship as debris fell from the ceiling. Rocks crashed behind them and light burst from the walls. The ground split open, glowing rivers of energy spilling out. They jumped into the ship, engines roaring. Ryan pulled the controls, guiding them upward through the crumbling tunnel. Behind them, the entire cavern exploded in golden fire. They broke through the surface, flying into the night sky just as the desert erupted below, a wave of light spreading across the horizon. For a moment, everything was quiet again. Ryan looked at Arya. Her mark was dim now, her eyes tired. "You did it," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "No, we did." But far behind them, in the wreckage of the desert, something moved. A faint blue light flickering among the ashes. A voice deep and broken whispered from the wind. "Power." "Never dies." Varric wasn't gone. Not yet. The desert was quiet again. The fire had burned out, leaving only ashes and glowing sand. High above, the stars looked calm, as if the war had never touched them. Ryan Hale stood beside the damaged ship, staring into the horizon. Arya sat nearby, her hands trembling slightly, the mark on her wrist fading. They had survived the core's explosion, but at a cost. "Varric is gone," Ryan said quietly. Arya shook her head. "No, not gone. Not completely." He turned toward her. "You saw something, didn't you?" Her voice was soft, distant. "The core showed me." His essence merged with it. The energy that gave life to this planet now carries his will. Ryan frowned. "You're saying he's part of the planet now?" "Yes," she whispered. "And he's angry." A cold wind swept across the sand. The ground beneath them pulsed, faint blue cracks glowing like veins of light. Ryan grabbed his rifle. "What now?" Before Arya could answer, the earth split open. Blue fire shot up into the night, and from the flames, Varric's shape appeared. No longer human, no longer machine. He was energy itself, his face flickering like smoke and light. "You cannot destroy power," Varric's voice boomed. "You can only change its form." Arya stood, her eyes full of fear, but also defiance. "You lost your body, Varric. What are you now? A ghost chained to the core?" He laughed, a cold, echoing sound. "I am evolution. I am what Arendor was meant to become." The blue light spread fast, turning the sand to glass, the air thick with static. Ryan shielded his eyes. "He's trying to consume everything." Arya's mark flared again, golden against the blue. "The core listens to me too," she said. "If he's part of it, then I can reach him." Ryan stepped closer. "You think you can stop him?" She looked at him calm and brave. No, but maybe I can contain him. Ryan's chest tightened. He already knew what that meant. You won't survive that, will you? Arya smiled sadly. Maybe not. But if I don't, no one else will. She walked toward the glowing fissure, the light wrapping around her like fire. Ryan reached out. Arya! Don't do this. She turned one last time. Her eyes were gentle. You taught me something, Ryan. Power isn't about ruling or destroying. It's about protecting what's worth saving. She stepped forward and raised her hand. The mark burned brighter than ever before. The core's energy rose from the ground, spiraling into the sky. Blue and gold collided, twisting like two storms fighting for control. Varric's voice screamed through the wind. You think you can cage me, girl? Arya shouted back, her voice full of pain and strength. No, I'm freeing you. From yourself. The light exploded. A wave of gold swept across the desert, washing away the blue corruption. Ryan was thrown back, covering his face as the world turned white. When the light faded, the ground was still. The sky was calm again, and Arya was gone. Ryan pushed himself up, searching the sand desperately. Arya, Arya! Then he saw it. A faint golden mark on the ground where she had stood, glowing softly before fading into dust. He sank to his knees. For the first time in years, the soldier felt helpless. The radio on his shoulder crackled. Lieutenant Hale, this is Captain Lena. Do you read? The energy storm just vanished. What happened down there? Ryan looked up at the quiet sky. She saved us, he said softly. She saved everyone. Days later, Ryan stood at the edge of the silent zone, the same desert where he had first found her. The wind was gentle now. The sand sparkled faintly with golden dust. He placed her broken wristband on the ground and whispered, You were never meant to be forgotten. He turned to leave. But just as he did, a faint voice echoed on the wind, soft, distant, almost like a dream. Ryan, he stopped, eyes wide. The wind carried a golden shimmer across the dunes, and for a moment he thought he saw her, a silhouette of light, smiling, watching him. Then it was gone. Ryan smiled faintly, looking up at the stars. Rest easy, princess, he said. You kept your promise. He walked away into the horizon. The dawn rising behind him, golden light spreading across Arendor, healing what was broken. And deep beneath the surface, the core pulsed gently and no longer in rage but in peace. Its heart glowed gold, not blue. The last trace of Varric faded, replaced by Arya's voice. Guard them well, my friend. The future belongs to those who fight for hope. The end.